Don't look back. The words given to Lot and his family as they were given the chance to escape from Sodom and Gomorrah before it was scorched. And I have been hearing this phrase in my head today. Don't look back. I have called you up. I have called you up. Don't look back. Look at me. Words that just keep floating in my head. And we all have something or someone we use as an excuse to not be all in. And we'll have good days, right? You have those good days where you're all in, and then that thing or that person falls back and you fall back with it. I remember being in high school, peer pressure, right? I was on fire for God when I was 16, on fire. But friends, right? Friends. I had a Christian friend who was so different than me. You know, we would argue about things. And I remember falling back rather than pushing forward so that I didn't lose step with her, that I didn't lose my friend. I didn't want to be alone. How many of you are doing that? You have a friend or a spouse or a parent or a grown child that is not stepping forward. Someone who's holding you down because you don't want to leave them behind. But I got a wake-up call from a good friend last night who's always there for me. And she said this, at the end, when we face God, it's just us. It's an individual encounter. You can't fall back because someone else falls back. You can't slow down because someone else slows down. Stop allowing an arrested development in your life. I do that. I don't like being the one who's running the race in the lead. Does that make sense? It's very unnerving. I don't want to be in the lead. I want to be the support. And instead, I'm hearing, knock that off. Don't look back. I have called you up. Keep your eyes on me. And I think of Paul. You're running that race. Keep your eyes on your goal, the end. Keep going. Fight the good fight. And I just keep thinking of Lot's wife. Do we want to be her? Do we want, right as we're escaping, right? Right as we are getting our green ticket out of here, green, golden, you pick the color, out of here. Wait, are we going to look back? Are we going to look back? You guys, before he called me back on here, there's so much that was going on in my life. You don't know. And you don't get to know. It's way too personal. And this is a public platform. So much going on in my life. Right before God called me back to it, I felt like he was about to spit me out. Like he says to the church in Revelations, like, get your act together. Do what you were called to do. You are not glorifying God to the fullest. I'm about to spit you out. And I could feel it like this impending doom within me. God's about to spit me out. And it was almost like a distaste filled my own mouth, and I could feel it. And I remember thinking, I wouldn't blame him. And I wasn't doing anything technically wrong. I just wasn't living. I was looking back. I was drawing back. And he's like, nope. And then he called me up. And since he called me up and right back over here, it's just been this don't look back, keep looking forward, rely on me, dive into my word, rely on the Holy Spirit, surrender everything to me, no matter what comes your way. And the enemy, oh, he's had fun. You guys, he's had fun since God's called me back up. It's to be expected. God doesn't call us into an easy battle. You gotta armor up. You gotta stay in his word. You gotta keep your eyes on him. And you can't let something or someone hold you back. And I've been feeling this shaking for so long. And you know the truth. You wanna know the real truth. That something, that someone, it's not their fault. It's ours. It's yours. It's mine. We're the problem. Who do you want to be? At the end of the day, you meet your Jesus. You meet your Father in heaven. Who do you want to be standing in front of him? Someone who looked back, someone who dragged their feet? Or you want to stand before him knowing that as weak as you were, as much as you kind of stumbled along, you moved forward. You kept your eyes on him. When you fell, you let him pick you right back up. You didn't take steps backwards and lick your wounds. You got up and you kept going. Because I've made excuses. When things came my way, I need to reel back for a little while. No, don't look back. I mean, I can hear it almost just like this fierceness. Look at me. This is God. Look at me. Stop taking your eyes off of me. Don't look back. And I'm feeling it to my core in such a way. And I know more than anything in these videos, I think he's teaching me. But maybe you need to hear this too. Maybe you need to hear that it's time to wake up, right? It's time to wake up. It's time to stand up. It's time to move forward and keep your eyes on him. No more excuses. No more half living. How many of us just live halfway? It's called lukewarm. My husband said something once, and he got it from someone. I don't know who. But he said there's coming a day when all those sitting on the fence, right? Between, do I live all the way for God or do I live for the world? And they sit on that fence, and Jesus comes back. And as Jesus comes, here comes the enemy, taking the fence and you who is sitting on it. Whoa, what? I haven't decided yet. And the enemy goes, don't you know? I own the fence. I get goosebumps every time I think of that. Every time. Because how many times do we think that our wavering, that's not going to cost us our soul? I'm sitting on the fence because I'm going to take my time and figure this out. Well, God doesn't own the fence. The enemy owns the fence. The enemy owns uncertainty. The enemy owns the halfway lived life. The enemy owns looking back. God owns looking forward. The choice of living for him and doing it. Not just saying it, but doing it. And this is, maybe this comes off harsh or too intense. But I have to just reflect the own voice that has been in my head. Don't look back. Look at me. I think of that movie with Tom Hanks, the Captain one. I don't even think I ever even saw the whole thing, but that preview where the guy takes over his boat. Look at me. Look at me. Look at me. I'm the captain now. And I feel like that's God with me. Look at me. I'm in charge now. If you're really giving me your life, you are to look at me and follow. Matthew 11:3. Are you the one to come, or shall we look for someone else? You can sit on that fence. Or, like me, after I got a good shaking, stand up, step forward, keep your eyes on him, and wait for those marching orders.